a 38-year-old DH and a bridge second baseman, which is more news because something actually happened. It's curious.
Okay, so it's a really good question. I think that, and there's two parts to the answer, at least, if not the question as well. Talk about the signings and then the plan. The 38-year-old can still, we just talked about that, can still hit. And he's better than anybody in the organization they currently have to be the DH. Head and shoulders. And maybe more than that. And he was better than anybody else that they could go out and get. Now, Bryce Harper, I mean, people could say, how about Machado or Bryce Harper? And back to your point about spending, I mean, those guys will probably be eminently worth it to the teams that they sign with and all those kinds of things. But to pay the price tag for those guys when there's so much more needed this next year and the next 5 years for the Twins, I guess the plan a little bit, the plan question, I don't think makes sense. I don't think, it would be fine to say that it's okay. I mean, I get the frustration of people that say the Pohlad should just have a $250 million a year payroll. I mean, come on, buy us a winner here. We're tired of, I don't believe they're under that kind of obligation. It is a business. And I think they're under the obligation to do the best everybody can in the smartest way possible. So I think given where their roster is of young players and what they really need right now, which is a big, strong right-handed hitting DH in the middle of the lineup, that's not a 38-year-old guy. That's a really good signing for me. As far as the bridge second baseman, again, they could have gone out and tried to sign DJ LeMahieu, I suppose. But at some point in time, you also have to think, you have to trust who you've drafted, who's in the minor leagues, and what you think is coming. And what's coming here is worthy of a bridge player, in my view. You've got D. Gordon, who's got a chance, and you've got Royce Lewis, who's got a real chance. And both of those two guys in the not too distant future, and you have Jorge Polanco. So you have three guys for two positions long term that will be maybe better and certainly more economical than trying to sign a big free agent second baseman when you've got those guys coming. So again, the Scope signing, even as a bridge, a la Nelson Cruz, gives you a chance very economically to get great production and not have to feel like you're going to rush those guys. You know what the greatest scenario would be? That D. Gordon or Royce Lewis moves Scope right the heck out.
Right.
Just moves him right out, right? Just don't know when that's going to happen. And so in the meantime, I think that's a nice deal. So to the plan part of it, yeah, I think there's a plan. I think the plan is, how can we try to win while we're building an organization that's going to be a contender for 7 or 8 years? How can we do that? Is the best way to do that signing Machado and then nobody else? Nah.
Well, and I think we should do another show that gets deeper into this because we could go talk about this for an hour. I will just remind people, Machado, the great Machado that we're talking about, the Orioles were terrible with him.
Right.
The great Bryce Harper, the Nationals were incredibly disappointing with him. If one player made a difference, their teams would have been good. One player doesn't. Look at the Red Sox that win it. Look at the Indians building a powerhouse in this division. Look at the Astros building a champion. Look at the Cubs building a champion. They all built with the farm system, then added strategically after they had a good core. That's how you win. If money won it all, then the Dodgers wouldn't be looking for the first championship since the 70s, right?
Exactly right.
And the Yankees would have more than one World Series championship since 2000.
Exactly.
It just isn't that simple, and it actually is counterintuitive. Spending a lot of money usually is an indication that you didn't do a good job with your farm system and you're just trying to plug holes.
That's exactly what it means. And when Falvey and Levine took over, if you go back to your point in the archives of our show, what we said then was, it looks like the plan is going to be to get bodies, to get players, to do the only way that they can successfully build a multi-year successful organization in terms of winning baseball is to draft really, really well and to develop those players and get more into the system, more big league caliber players from the big leagues on down through A-ball. And so it's pretty easy to see that plan in place. They traded a bunch of veteran players that were not going to be the answer going forward for a bunch of young bodies. If 3 or 4 of those young bodies become big league players, it was a fantastic, fantastic scenario that they created. And I think they continue to do that with draft picks and with looking at trades of people that aren't going to be part of the solution that will garner some more good minor league players, because ultimately they're going to package somebody and a minor league player or two. They're going to make one of these really good trades that the contending team, a lot of the contending teams made last year to get that one more piece or the really big piece that they could use. You can't do that with no talent. You can't do that without potential major league bodies throughout the system. And I think that's the plan.
Thanks to Berry Coffee, berrycoffee.com. Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. Remember, it's Hoaglund. Again, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And we appreciate everybody who's made the network a success. Final thought, Roy, or have we said enough?
I think we've said. I think everybody knows I've talked too much.
Yeah, oh yeah, what condition, my condition.